The 4 common cybersecurity mistakes that lead to a ransomware attack. The first mistake is the use of remote desktop protocol, or RDP. RDP protocol or remote desktop login is an interactive type of login, which means when you log into to a machine remotely, your credentials is stored in the memory of this workstation. If the attacker has access to this workstation you're trying to log into, he can access your credentials and use it to log into other workstations as well. So let's put this scenario. An attacker has compromised a workstation in your network. He caused an issue to an error somewhere, so the employee can call the help desk to help him fix it. The help desk uses remote desktop protocol to log into the workstation the employee has and fix the issue. While he's logging in, the attacker can steal the credentials from the memory and use it to log into other workstations all over the network. With that, he can move laterally inside the organization, reach the servers, the domain admin, and take over the whole organization. So this is the first mistake. The second mistake is to have the domain admin everywhere. What I mean with domain admin everywhere is that the domain admin accounts are only used to log into the domain controller, where all your treasures are, all the passwords, all the access to all the resources inside the organization is at the domain controller. So the domain admin should only be used to log into the domain controller. If you are using domain admin everywhere, using it for help desk, the domain admin, the guy who is administrating the domain controller, using his domain admin account on his own workstation, or use the same workstation that he accesses email or Facebook that's being accessed by help desk, use the exact same workstation to log into the domain controller. All of this will lead to easily the attacker to steal this domain admin account and move to the domain controller and take over the whole organization. So what you're going to need to do is to make the domain admin account only be used to log into the domain controller, remove it completely from the administrator group, and have other accounts like a workstation admin that only administrate all the workstations and nothing else. This is the account that will be used to log into workstations, and have your domain admin account to be only used on a special workstation, a managed workstation. They call it privileged access workstation. Better to make it completely headless without any UI, and have this special workstation. This is a laptop that the administrator guy, he can use that laptop to log into the domain controller, and this is the only way he can use his domain admin account to log into the domain controller. So the whole domain admin area is completely separate from the workstations that is accessible to the internet, to the email, to the help desk, and so on. With that, you can cut all the ties between the workstations world, where the attacker can access through spear phishing, through different ways, and between the domain controller and your sensitive data. Better to do that also for the servers, for all type of administrators, even the Azure administrators too, so they can have special workstations they use to log in to the Azure cloud or log into the different servers they're maintaining. And these workstations are completely separate from the laptop they use to access email, to access Facebook, or to access LinkedIn or anything else. As well, separate from the workstations that's being accessed by the help desk. With that as well, to add to this point, also make sure that your service accounts are not domain admins. You don't need the domain admin beyond the domain controller. Make sure that the service accounts are only accessing the server or the service they are trying to use, and that's it. Because service accounts their passwords can easily be brought forth. They can be brought forth offline, and the attacker can access their passwords easily. You need to make sure that their passwords are very difficult and they are only used for this specific service. Better also rotate their passwords very often, so the attacker doesn't get long time to access this service account. So this is the second mistake. The third mistake, though, is The use of local password or use of local administrator account and have one password for all your local administrator accounts. Here's the thing. I saw in some workstations, some companies, some enterprises, that the help desk, rather than he use his own account, his own domain account, his own help desk domain account to log in with RDB to different workstations to fix issues they have. Rather than they do this, they use the local administrator account on all of these machines. They log in with RDB to the local administrator account in every workstation they are trying to fix an issue there. That's all good and it's okay, but the problem happens when the password for this local administrator accounts are all the same across the enterprise or across the whole network. The attacker has to only compromise one workstation to steal the administrator password and use this administrator and that password to log into all workstations inside the organization. They knew that every local administrator on every workstation has the same exact password and it's open for RDB. Now they can log in with RDB to any workstation inside the organization. And it's also very hard to trace them because it's all different logins and all local administrator logins. And with that, they can have a full control over all the workstations inside the organization. With that, they can access the domain admin if he is using a normal workstation, and with that, they can use the domain admin account to access the domain controller, access all the resources and backups, encrypt everything, and run the ransomware. So you need to make sure that the local administrators don't have the same password. Have them managed, has their passwords being different and rotated, have a way to manage that, and Microsoft do provide a way to manage administrator passwords, so make sure you take advantage of that. The last common mistake that leads to a ransomware attack is the use of standard accounts. Of course, every business has its own use cases. Sometimes it is possible and sometimes it's not. There's no other solution than using a standard account. But here's the thing. In Windows environment, the standard account is an administrator account. The normal account that you create on any machine is an administrator account. And it's very easy for the attacker, once they compromise the machine, to have a full control over that system and steal credentials from memory. You need to make that all of these accounts are restricted accounts. You need to make the users have restricted accounts on their machines. And with that, you can control what they can install, what they can do, and as well, you can contain the attack early and don't make the attacker able to steal credentials and move laterally very easy through the organization. You see, in Linux system, we get used to have the sudo, where we just write sudo with the command, and then we type the password, and then we can do whatever we want as an administrator. The attacker can't really replicate the same. The same we do that in Mac as well. You can, when you try to install something, the lateral move or the privilege escalation for the attacker is much more difficult in Linux and Mac than in Windows, especially when you have a standard account to a full administrator account. The user access control, what Windows has introduced from Windows Vista and beyond, is a very weak security mechanism. Windows itself doesn't really see it as a security mechanism, and it has so many ways to bypass it. So you need to make sure that you always have that. You always have the accounts to restricted accounts as much as you can. If it's possible in your business use cases, change all the employees' accounts to restricted accounts, and if they need to install something, the help desk can help them with it, and they can install whatever the software they want or specific software while you are checking with the whitelisting and different things as well. You need to make sure that the apps that they are running is acceptable apps, the same as Chrome extensions and so on. So this is the last common mistake. Try to not use standard accounts, standard administrator accounts, because it's easy for the attacker to escalate privilege, to be the administrator, to steal the credentials, to create services, to hide itself, to disable the antivirus, to disable the firewall, to disable the sysmon if you have, or OS query, or whatever the tools you are using. And he can beat the different security tools and different security controls you have inside this workstation. So make sure that you always let the attacker be in restricted user. This is the 4 common mistakes. Again, let's recap. The first common mistake is the use of a remote desktop or RDP. The second is using domain admin beyond just accessing domain controller, using it on workstations, using it as a service account, and so on. The third common mistake, the use of the same password for all local administrator accounts, especially if you are using them through remote desktop, if you are allowing these administrators to be logged in with remote desktop. And the last is the use of standard administrative accounts on the Windows machines for the employees. Hope that video was helpful. And by the way, we do help companies, especially small medium businesses. We help them elevate their security level. We look through all of these weaknesses and how we can help them have a more secure environment, have a good security posture. We help them also train their employees for incident response, for threat hunting, build their incident response process, build their threat hunting process, and we help them with a mentorship and trainings and process for a complete 1 year to get them through from where they are to the point where they are way more secure against ransomware attacks. We see ransomware attacks now everywhere, and it's happening to so many organizations that I don't want you to be the next one. So schedule a call with me. Let's get to chat, and me and my team can help you see where are you now, where you want to be, and we can help you through it. So meanwhile, see you in the next video. Bye bye.